check it, check it. Hey, people. Want me a ringleader, bad party bleeder. Make this world a storm, lead after lead after leader. Hey, can you dig it? I come alive, y'all, give me what you got. Back up, come stick up, pump your fist up. You check the shadow, no buckshots, a bus slip. Put the morning like a kid. Wanna make it feel alright. Move it up all night. Body rock, show me what you got. Let go break. Slip on the morning like a kid. Wanna make it feel alright. Move it up all night. Body rock, show me what you got. Let go break. Check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it. Hey, people. Check it out, check it, check it, check it. Check it, check it. Hey, people. Want me a ringleader, bad party bleeder. Make this world a storm, lead after lead after leader. Hey, can you dig it? I come alive, y'all, give me what you got. Back up, pump, stick up, pump your fist up. You check the shadow, no buckshots, a bus slip. Put the morning like a kid. Wanna make it feel alright. Move it up all night. Body rock, show me what you got. Let go break. Slip on the morning like a kid. Wanna make it feel alright. Move it up all night. Body rock, show me what you got. Let go break. Check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it. Hey, people.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon, y'all. This is episode 39 of the Glimmercast Gaming Edition, and we're joined by a full stacked panel of folks. Some new faces to y'all who have been watching the show, the channel for a while. Maybe some familiar faces. We've got Retro Complex Ken over in the what is this? The right hand, left hand side? Yeah. And we also are joined by the first time Nick from Geeks with Cash. How are you doing today, Nick?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And we've also got MikeofallTrades. Mo, what is up, man?
Is this thing on? Is it?
Yeah, it's on. It's on.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with yes.
Okay, well, cool then. Ladies and gentlemen, hi, I'm Mike.
That's what's up. And last but not least, we've got Endless One Up in the house. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, I think your mic might be a little low. I'm gonna turn down the
music.
The awesome saxy background music. Awesome. Okay, cool. And welcome everyone in the chat as well. Endless One Up greeting everyone. Retro Complex, Geeks of Cash. Chris Dominguez, what is up? Welcome to Reyes Says Show. Yes, I love saying so-and-so says and then reading their comment. What's up, Cuphead, Mugman, and Memes of Destruction? What is up? What's going on? We're talking the Steamdeck today, man. And yeah, stay hydrated, y'all. Absolutely. Love that reminder. And we also got Slonka Bomb Gaming in the house over in the chat. Welcome, welcome. And everyone's greeting each other. That's what's up. And we got Wife Div over on Twitch. Thank you for coming through over on the Twitch broadcast as well. Love to see it. And Tim's Talk as well. On your left, I know, right? And I just literally got my license like a few weeks ago, and I can barely tell my right and left from each other. But yeah, thank you for that reminder. And what's up, Miss Chalice as well. And let's see, everyone's up in the house as well. Got plenty of time to pile in. Gibby Gilbertson, thank you so much for coming through. Hey, good to see you as always. And yeah, let's see. Oh, we also got Rambling Man in the house. Jeez, that Nick guy gets everywhere. I only came here to avoid him. Bang, bang, shots fired. Oh, we love you, Rambling Man. But yeah, this is awesome. So, oh yeah, the Chrono Trigger music. Yes, I know I had to put some like awesome custom music now that StreamYard has that available now. But anyway, getting into the actual topic of today, the Steamdeck, the super awesome handheld computer from Valve, the creators of the Half-Life series and of, you know, obviously the Steam community and like library of games like that is available for PC gamers and onward and so forth. It's like the talk of the town, and consumer electronic, you know, pundits, I guess, on the internet are all like a buzz of with their own takes on, you know, the hardware. Some folks have already received it, some haven't yet. I haven't yet pre-ordered. I am somewhat of I'm on the pro side of the Steam Deck, but I'm still sort of having my reservations as I'm learning more about it. So I wanted to get into some high-level overview, you know, impressions of the handheld, especially since a lot of folks on this panel have either pre-ordered it or have already received theirs. So I want to get to and you first, my guy, since your discussion piece actually was the catalyst for this discussion to happen.
We can't hear you.
I can't hear him.
Oh yeah, I think your mic might be muted.
Can you lower the music a little bit?
There we go.
Okay, thank you so much. So yeah, so my I don't have issue with the console. The console is amazing, and I play all day today with it, trying to do what people were telling me to save battery. That's my only critique with the console. I tried everything that everybody told me. I went to every single channel I could, and the battery life sucks. I'm sorry, as a consumer that is buying blindly, that is so bad.
How much battery life are you getting on average?
Two to 1.
You're getting 2?
2 to 1 hour.
I can get it. I can get anywhere between 2 and 4, depending on what I'm doing with it. What are you playing on it? I guess is the question.
I was playing Moonlighters, and that is not a heavy game.
Okay, because I've done a lot of emulated content. I've done a lot of stuff like Chrono Trigger, TMNT, the new one, Streets of Rage 4, and it'll generally last for like 3+ hours when they do that, for the most part.
I was thinking that my unit came damaged or something like that, because at this point I had tried every single setting everybody has gave me.
Now, keep in mind,
Yeah.
I don't think it. I don't know what people were thinking, but my estimate was roughly between 2.5 and 4 hours before I ever got it in my hands. So that was my expectation.
But as a consumer, well, not as a geek. We all are geek. And here we all are geeks. As a normal consumer, your opinion. If you were a normal consumer, and
I would think Switch battery life of around 4 hours. And even the Switch doesn't always last 4 hours.
No, I know, but
I have a different opinion though, because I've never had a gaming laptop that lasted more than 4 hours, and that has a hell of a lot more batteries in it than the Steamdeck does.
Yeah,
So
he's got a point. It's very similar to most mobile devices.
this can do ray tracing. So
Yeah.
like
I
your
mean,
Switch ain't doing ray tracing.
If you're looking at your phone and
And
you're
yeah, the
playing like a
phone
really
doesn't-
heavy game on it,
That's not an apples to apples comparison.
yeah,
either.
you're gonna kill it in a couple of hours if you're playing like a
It
really
might
intensive
melt
game.
in your
like-
hands too.
I just
Yeah,
want to
I
know
mean,
who's playing their devices so far away from a charger, because I stay hooked up to some sort of power sources, especially on my Switch. Because
Right.
to Nick's
I'll bring a
point,
little
like I'm
brick or
expecting
something,
like
yeah.
a soft 4 hours of gameplay on something like
Yeah.
right now I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles, and I'm getting like up to 3 hours unplugged. So yeah, I have my.
Well, the Steam Deck's a little unique in that respect, with the fact that I don't have it plugged in when I'm playing it 90% of the time. And the reason is because I'm using it in places where I don't want to have it plugged in, but I'm not using it for super ultra long periods of time. And we can get into like what our usage is, what our usage habits are, and stuff like that as we get to that part of the topic. But I think mine's gonna be more in line with what a PC gamer would do with this thing, because that's primarily what I am, right?
Totally. And Mike, I definitely want to get your take, because I know you're waiting on your pre-order to fulfill. So what are your like high-level overview thoughts of, early reviews that you've been seeing from the community, and is that sort of deterring your enthusiasm for what made you want to pre-order to begin with, or you're kind of avoiding spoiler reviews like that?
No, so I've watched a couple of reviews. I watch all of Endless's stuff, especially when he like shields for like Killer Instinct and stuff like that. So I watch all that stuff, you know what I mean? Because it's like I like to know what I'm getting into. I was probably one of the first people 3 hours later on the day that they released the Steam Deck reservations to put it down, because it's, if anything, it's just a portable PC. Having the idea of having a portable PC with a dock in the future, or even the ability right now to connect it to something while you're on the go. That's a big deal. Yeah, I have a gaming laptop with like a 3050 Ti in it, whatever else, right? You know what I mean? But it's a laptop. You want something to be able to ergonomically able to just hold in your hands. And so I think the only concern I have with the Steam Deck is like the different configurations of it. I mean, I have the 512 gig version pre-ordered, so whatever, no big deal. But it's more of battery life notwithstanding. It's more one of those things that's just like, is it going to perform the way I want it to perform? You know what I mean? And that's my major concern.
I think that depends on what you want out of it. If you want a laptop out of it, go get a laptop. Don't do this.
Yeah.
Straight up, it's not a laptop.
Yeah.
It is
It's
not
like-
a laptop.
Not a laptop.
Well,
One
no.
great way
So
to-
my idea of it is just to play like little stuff like Shredder's Revenge, or maybe run like fighters, or something that I can play in quick spurts for like 30 minutes. Put it down if I'm having a break or something, and then just pick it back up. That's the idea. It's not.
It'll do that stuff.
Oh
really
yeah,
well.
no, it works fine for that. However, it is bigger than a Switch by a good margin.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking to carry it back and forth to work, I mean, it's a space requirement thing. It needs, especially with a case, it's kind of beefy.
Yeah, can I mention something about Retro's comment though, because he makes a valid point. Because I've said that too. From like, if you're not a PC gamer, but you follow the hype train and you're like, I'm going to buy this thing, and maybe you don't even have a Steam library and you're going to just start buying it, there is going to be a lot of disappointments. And I tried to set those expectations and say that this has nothing to do with Switch. This isn't even a family-friendly device.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I can go get porn on this. You're not going to really go get porn on your
Bloody.
Switch that easy. So that kind of makes it a little different.
You
can.
You're playing a video game, but it's porn.
But to what the point? So like, I have 99% battery. I could zoom my camera in and show you. I'm not lying to you. But to his point, like if I launch, the other day I did a video on this Alien Fireteam Elite, and watch, I'll get into it and I'll show you what the battery does. So right now, we are at 7 hours and 24 minutes. Okay, the game hasn't
laughable.
launched.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
I just
that's
charged
laughable.
it. But it already went down to 550, 540. As the game's launching, it's dropping 450. Now we're down to just 4 hours.
I
And I haven't done anything yet. I'm just like 3 hours and 40 minutes.
Well, I can tell you why it's doing that number because it's looking.
Well, no,
at-
because it's loading
looking
the
at battery
cache
life.
and yeah.
Well, no, it's looking at the battery life, the power consumption that you're using at that moment for the average battery life. So it updates.
But yeah,
all
this
the
is actually
time,
realistic because it's
depending on
changing all
load.
the pixels. Every time it changes
Right.
the pixels, it has to recache it.
Okay.
So that's
Yes.
taking energy. So this is still a realistic thing because as you load the game, that's one of the most realistic things to see how much taxing it would be on the machine because it has to like preload all that stuff. And if it can handle that part of it, most of the time it can smooth sailing throughout the rest because that's like the hardest cache to build because to like launch the game quickly, it has to do that shit really fast.
Yeah.
But
it's
like
true.
now it's at 3 hours. And if I actually get into the game, it'll go down to an hour and 20 minutes if I actually start playing it.
And that's
Right.
what I was saying, that this console is not for your normal typical consumer, and this is how Steam should be a bit. I know that Steam had to make money, and they had to kind of trick the consumer into buying their product, but at the same time, they should have advertised this console as a
I don't think they
gamer,
tricked
like
anybody.
a gamer. Like this is.
I would go so far as to
I
say
think
they
it's a
straight
pretty
up lied.
amazing. I think they.
I don't know.
I think this is an amazing device. I don't know.
Oh no, it's an
I-
amazing
It's
device.
an amazing device.
I wasn't
let me
expecting a rocket
clarify
ship
why
here.
I say they lied. Let me clarify why I say they lied. Because it's not that it's not an amazing device. It's not that it won't run your PC games. It's not that it hasn't run pretty much anything I've loaded on it. Where they lied is they started putting specs on there like 4K resolution, over 4 hours of battery life, da 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 da. That's all bullshit. And I knew that from the beginning.
You can do 4K. I have
You're
a video
pushing
on it.
4K on this thing?
Yeah, you have
Wait,
to
so,
go
like,
into
do you have,
desktop
like,
mode
the
and you have to
higher
have
end?
a 4K monitor.
I have
You actually-
I have multiple 4K monitors and I've never gotten it
So
to
if you
go
go into
4K.
desktop mode, you should check out one of my videos. I actually show how
I
you
tried
can go
finding that video for like an hour yesterday,
like, really
and
quick,
another 40
maybe,
minutes
like-
today. You'll have to
Oh,
link it to me.
I'll link it to you.
You've got like today on Steamdeck and stuff, and I cannot parse through it to find it.
Yeah,
Quick,
it's
quick question. Sorry to
No, go ahead. I'm
to
sorry.
jump in, but I just sort of wanted to kind of like set the I guess like the topic a little bit more transparently for folks just now joining the chat. So what y'all are discussing is, you know, like the power expectations and the battery life expectations, and like for to Ken's point, like more casual consumers like myself who are just now trying to get an idea of what some of the drawbacks or positives of the device are. Like for folks who may not be aware, there are multiple tiers of this device available, correct? So that would
Yes.
determine how much power you're able to, like, you know, output and things like that, right? I'm trying to like
The
bring it
battery
layman's
from the
terms.
biggest one is the same thing.
All the actual physical hardware specs are the same. It's the amount of memory that you get inside the unit. There's a 64, a 256, and a 512. And all that is storage space. That's the only difference as you go up until the 512K, and then it gets like some sort of like UV non-reflective coating thing to make it a little bit nicer outside.
Yeah.
That's the only difference in the hardware specs. And that's just
Well-
more of a viewing thing rather than anything related to the performance.
Well, the 64 gig is the eMMC memory, and S512 and 256 is SSD. So that's kind of a big difference as far as like
Yeah,
loading
but you
games.
can put. Most people are going to put the SSD in
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So
Of
then
course,
you're
but if you're looking at it from the average consumer base, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, like
regular Joe
opening that
Schmo
up when
consumer.
they're so rare is pretty dangerous. If you don't know what
Right.
you're doing, and if you don't know
Exactly.
about static, like
Yeah.
sparkle jump from your cheek. I freaking fried a motherboard in my younger ages. I was like leaning into my thing, and it's like, I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, so
Oh, I've had screwdrivers slip when
I
I was
learned
trying
to
to
get
like
one of
mount a processor in and tear
That's
apart,
scary.
tear across multiple connections on a board. I've destroyed multiple motherboards with just
you gotta
accidents
learn the
trying
hard
to
way,
get
though,
parts
right?
in.
That way you remember. When you learn the hard way, you remember it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it sometimes gets very expensive.
Yeah. Luckily, when I mean, geez, it was so long ago. I think that motherboard I probably paid $70 for it. That's still a lot of money to just ruin. I don't go buy that much worth of crap and just throw it in the trash. So.
But yeah, I do want to kind of get into each of our, you know, individual takes in depth about the Steam Deck now that we kind of got an idea of some of the frustrations and some of, you know, the expectations that may or may not have been met on first impression. So yeah, Ken, if you want to get into, you know, your kind of the deep dive that you did on your video and what you're kind of anticipating from your device going forward now that you've had it for like about a week or
Like
so?
almost a month already.
Yeah, definitely, if you want to get into it.
So one of the things, besides the battery that we already talked about, is the trackpad. I don't understand. I do get why they did it, because the point of it is for games that use the mouse, so it's more easier. And the position that they put it and how they feel is so awkward, and it hurts my hand so much. It is like a no-no for me when I'm using the track thingy. And I don't understand Steam, because they already did this in their controller, and people didn't like. I know a lot of people. I know back then a lot of people hated that controller, and they keep going with that trackpad on this console too. That it makes zero sense to me. Like, it makes zero sense.
Totally.
I don't ever use the trackpad unless I'm in desktop mode.
And what? And that's mode? There's few games that you can have to use it.
Yeah,
But I will have prefer if they were gonna do that. They will, like I say in my video, that you have put it in the bottom, in the back of the console.
I can see that. My reasoning on why they put it the way it was is, I was afraid initially when I got it that I would always be touching the trackpad and I'd be randomly moving in weird locations. And that didn't happen, and I think that's because of where they positioned it, because naturally your hand doesn't want to sit there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's considered almost a tertiary interface, because you'll notice the D-pad is the most prominent, the analogs are the next most prominent, and then the trackpad.
Yeah,
I don't think they expect you to be using the trackpad that often, which is why it's in the position it is. And if they put it on the back, I guarantee you I would have been moving things around with the trackpad constantly, and it would have drove me absolutely bonkers.
Well, yeah.
Plus, that's where all the heat is for the unit.
That's true. But at the same time, it's so comfortable, at least for me, because I'm already accustomed to the normal controller, or at least the Xbox type controller. Mm-hmm. You have the D-pad in the bottom, whatever. So for me, it's so uncomfortable. Like, it's one of my down thing with the console. Besides that, the freaking graphics are amazing. The gameplay is smooth. So far, everything has been smooth. Each game runs perfectly. Even games that were not supposed to be running on that console or on that handheld, they're running. I had tried them, and they're running perfectly. That is so amazing that a console like that can do that. The only problem is certain little nitpick that I said in my video that a lot of people attack me for it. It's like, battery is bad. And I think that was the only take that everybody took from that video. Nobody else took the take of the console is good, but it's not for your average consumer. It is for people who actually believe in Steam, want to play really hardcore games, and they want a console instead of having a console, having a handheld. This is only for like hardcore gamers.
Well, to Gibby's point about the size, I know y'all were talking about it a little bit already, but Moat, when you saw the dimensions of the device, was that it doesn't sound like it deterred you from continuing to place your pre-order, but do you feel like you'll be playing this more in sort of like a docked mode situation, or do you feel like you'll get the most value of it from handheld mode?
So my intention is to play it handheld. I ordered it just so it can be a backup PC, so I could do random other stuff, say when I'm streaming and things of that nature. As far as like the size goes, it's not a deterrent to me, because I don't know if you know this, but I got gorilla size hands. So if you put a Joy-Con here, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it kind of clips it. So for me, it's not a big deal. I think the size is, as long as it's heavy and it feels good, to me, that's what matters. I understand the point about the D-pad being in the upper left-hand corner, things of nature, and it feeling, not familiar or maybe inorganic to play with. But again, it's just one of those things that you have to like adjust for. And for me, I'm still interested. It's more of an investment to do different things, and not have to like work so hard on the PC and whatever, and just be able to do random stuff or be able to use different sources or whatever else like that. The thing that kills me, and I don't understand this, and maybe this is just a me thing, right? It's like people like, to go to the battery thing, and people are like, yo, like the battery died so quick. Y'all remember playing with these?
Yes.
Or Game Gear, which is even worse.
The Game Gear is the worst example I have. Game Gear was bad.
I'm just saying, like, if I got 4 hours of Pokemon out of this, which we're still in here, like, I'm good with that. So it's a convenience, and I think it's just more that, as an old school gamer, we've gotten so used to convenience now that it's just, the batteries just being zapped and zapped, and it's like, everybody's got a USB Type-C cable somewhere, or a battery bank or something like that,
Yeah.
But I guess to that point, if you're going to play that much, then yeah, maybe you do need a dock, or maybe you do need to hardwire or whatever else. Like it's just.
Yeah,
it's
the
just
docks
Mike,
would be really helpful.
You're gonna be
Yeah,
surprised
totally.
because you want something heavy, but the console is not heavy at all.
Oh well.
I mean,
like
it's
it.
heavier than a Switch. I mean,
Yeah, I wouldn't want
I
somebody to
don't
throw
know.
it at me.
oh god, no.
So it's
Yeah.
heavy enough.
But I was surprised. I actually was surprised because when I grabbed it, I was like, "Oh, wow!" I expected something a little bit heavier.
That's cool.
I liked how well it was balanced weight-wise. I feel
Yeah.
like it's got good balance.
Yeah,
And honestly, I
surprised.
don't have really large hands, and it's perfectly comfortable for me to play with in handheld mode.
That's cool.
I don't have a major problem with it. The only problem I have with the design of this thing, and I think I touched on this on my review of it when I got it, my initial impression review, was the buttons on the back are a pain in the ass. Like, they don't click well. Like, they're basically junk. I would never use them in any respect. I don't even know how you map to them half the time. And even if I did, I can't click them most of the time.
You
Like,
have
I
to map
can't
to them
feel them
outside of the
click,
game.
even if they go in. So you may as well just not use those.
Yeah, and you're right. And the only time I use them is to Retro Complex's point is when I use the trackpad, I actually move instead of having my hand normally up here, I move my hand down, and I use these as my left and right click rather than using this and this.
Oh, that's
and
okay.
then,
That's
and then
fine.
I do it with these two, my middle fingers. So I use like right click and left click because it's annoying. But I've played a couple RTS games because I was like, how horrible is this? I have carpal tunnel. It's horrible. I won't do it. I'm like, I'm gonna get a mouse. Okay.
I have another critique on those is left and right is weird.
Yeah.
Like when you're moving the touchpad,
Tell me
like
about it.
if I move the mouse with the right hand, but I want to right click a mouse, I have to hit the left touchpad in.
Yeah, I can't.
And I'm
I
like,
mess
why
up
is
all
it
the time.
reversed? It's breaking my brain a little bit.
I found that the triggers usually will work as well if I'm, because it sucks. Like I have a little capture device that's just a pass through, and when I use it, it messes everything up because the raster size and the touchscreen go wonky. So I'd actually have to unplug it to usually select things on the screen because the mouse won't even work. The mouse thinks it's like working in this small square. It like gets all wonky. So yeah, there's a lot of weird things with the device that a consumer, like I'll troubleshoot through it. Where a consumer's like, well, this is a piece of shit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See,
and look,
I think an
like
average consumer should never take it into desktop mode in the first place.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good point.
If you just use it just for Steam, and you don't do any of the dumb stuff that we all bought it for, that's why. Because to be fair, that's why we bought it.
Yeah, Nick makes a good point.
Then it will work perfectly fine. You may not get the battery life you expect, but you're going to get a good display. Everything's going to look crisp. Everything's going to run very clean, except for Dead or Alive 6. That kind of runs like poop. It's a little janky, and to be fair, it doesn't run great on PC, period. I've seen performance issues on it, even on my PC with the 2080 Ti, which is overkill for that game.
Yeah.
So it running on this thing is a little. Let's just say it feels a little sluggish. It doesn't. It will run, but it feels more like it's running at like 30 frames instead of 60, right? So it's a little slow.
That's actually a pretty good segue to this question. It probably would align to what you've been covering on your channel, Endless. So Console Fanboy asks, has anyone played Gears 5? And if so, how are the graphics, frame rate, etc.? Or if you played a comparable game, maybe you can give us like a precursor to what we would expect from this
I mean,
type
Gears
of game.
is a unique game, though, because, I mean, Gears was really built around the Xbox, but, well, at least I thought it was originally, and then Linus Tech Tips has a PlayStation dev unit, and there was a Gears game on there.
Well, yeah, because they were
So
originally
it
building
was
for
like,
the
I guess they were
PS3.
thinking about doing it, yeah,
Yeah,
but then they
it was
did, they
PS3.
nixed it.
Yep.
So I think you'd probably be able to play Gears 5. You might have to do the Microsoft thing, though, or put Windows on it, because isn't that only...
I have not gotten
Yeah, that's an Xbox
Xbox
app
Live
thing.
to
Yeah.
run on. I've not gotten
I haven't I know the live
the
thing.
Game
where people-
Pass thing running on it
Yes.
yet. I tried configuring it like twice, and it just would not load into
and I
it for
haven't
whatever
done it,
reason.
so.
And
I know people who like it. They said that, like, where you stream it. Is that what you're talking about? Like, where you
Yeah,
stream?
and I actually hate that as I understand why they do that as a solution, because it's a Windows game trying to run in a Linux environment, and that doesn't work. because they don't have a Linux installer. So I understand why you have to stream it, but I was inherently with it being Linux, and I'm not a Linux guy, but if you're going to put me on Linux, don't make me install Explorer. Don't do it.
Yeah. I haven't put Windows on mine. I don't want to do any of that.
I don't want to touch mine.
I think
either
it'll
that
diminish
way.
the device because that's not the intended use for it. Not that there's a bad thing if you want to do that. People like to explore. Go explore. But I just wanted to play my Steam library. I've had Steam like most of you for a long time. I'm like, crap, I got 300 games. I buy this
600.
device and I can play. I can play half of them or more. That's awesome. What a good deal. Like, yeah, the battery life sucks, but the way I hate we're gonna herp on, but the way I play this is I'll be playing like Elden Ring on my computer, and then my wife will like ask me to go do something. So I'll just like grab my Steam Deck, and since I'm in my house and not going far, the stream from my computer
you get
this
streamer,
is
yeah.
really good. So I can just take over my game. I just click connect, and then it connects to my computer, and then I'm playing. Like you can see it move on my computer too, and that works really good. So this sounds horrible, but if you have to use the bathroom too, and you want to keep playing, there's not many ways to do that. It's not like I got a computer in my potty.
Exactly.
Dan just revealed that he has fecal matter on his controls.
Hey, did you watch that
Yikes.
Mythbusters? You got fecal matter on your toothbrush, man. So
Facts.
it's everywhere. It's all around us.
Gibbertson says the slim PS Vita honestly lasts forever. It's actually wild. I agree. I love my Vita for that. I could go a month without charge on that thing.
Well, Sony's magical. Well, you can't compare.
Yeah, the Vita's
no PS games.
The Vita is a
Vita
magical
for-
device.
Yeah,
The Vita was the perfect handheld, and sadly,
See, I never had the slim Vita. I had the original Vita,
I had
and,
the
and I
OLED
liked
as
it, but
well.
it didn't have great battery life either. Well, I'd say 4 hours.
But that's a great looking screen. And
Yeah.
how old is that?
Oh no,
device?
it's a beautiful screen. It's a
Yeah.
gorgeous device.
Yeah.
With my friend, when I used to play it because he was the one who had it, I didn't want to waste the money. And there was time that I bought, we play, and that thing lasted for hours nonstop. So
Yeah, I felt like it did.
they got it perfect.
I bought that for my kid, and she took it to school, and somebody stepped on her backpack and broke
Ah.
the screen.
Yikes. Rip.
She would take it to school, and I know she was playing it. But I did that same crap too. I didn't have a handheld, but I'd take the instructions to like the Sega game I just bought, and all day long in school, I'd just be looking through the instructions like a dork because couldn't wait till I got home and played it.
Yep.
And Gibby asked a good question. How is Tekken 7 on there? And like just to kind of add to staple onto that question, I was curious, like in handheld mode, how is this with like fighters and like arcade games? Because I can totally see myself going, playing some Marvel vs. Capcom on there, like just like I would with like my hacked PSP. Yes, I know. I need to download Fightcade. I know, Mike, so I can
Yeah, you
participate.
do.
No. I
But
didn't
yes,
say anything. I just heard fighters, and I was like,
Well, I
Yeah,
played the
fighters.
KI.
Tell me more.
Honestly, I gotta download more of those on there.
Yeah, if you're a person who use at least this is for me that I tend to do this. If there are a person that do this in your controller. I don't know if you guys do this. It's like the crab thingy. They call it a crab. I don't know how people call it in reality.
that looks
but-
painful.
No, I actually do that in my controller when I'm playing even Mega Man X. I do that, and because it's more easy, it's like a shortcut. I don't know. if
You're
it-
like my kid when she holds her pencil. I'm like, how are you doing that?
You're not gonna be able to do that. If you are one of those people like me who do that, forget about it. This is not the console to do that.
But
There's
to
no way
talk
you're gonna
about
be able-
fighters, I've played Tekken, Soul Calibur, and KI. So I'll start with KI. KI has a really cool like feature that runs a benchmark and approves you that lets you go actually do tournament matches. And the Steam Deck does qualify to do tournament matches. So that's a really good sign. You get a solid 60 frames a second for it. Tekken, I saw some hiccups with it when I was playing it. Does it play? Yes. Do you get 60 frames per second in a fight? Yes. But those like intros, they're like, "Wah, wah, wah." But when you're in the game fighting, it's always 60 frames per second. But for some reason, when you're loading, the right before the fights and the kind of like the little scenes, they're a little bit wonky sometimes. But Soul Calibur is like super smooth. Like that game is so polished. I don't know what magic they did with that, but Soul Calibur like plays amazingly on the Steam Deck. Like Soul Calibur plays so good. I have a 30 hertz capture device that they're able to stuff 60 frames per second through that 30 hertz. And 30 hertz is just 30 cycles per second. And most television stuff is 60. So, and that's where you get your 60 frames per second from. But the way they coded that game, they were able to shove 2 frames for every cycle, which is insane. Like that's a really, really well optimized game. So yes,
Which
if you like
Soul
Soul
Calibur are you talking about? Which one? The
the
first one?
latest one,
Oh, Soul Calibur 6.
7, 6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was a
and,
V
and,
and a
and the
150.
jump on your Tekken point. Tekken
Yeah.
always has a dip when it loads.
Oh, does it? Okay.
I'll have,
Yeah, I
the,
think you're
I'll have
right.
the FPS up on my desktop because you can have it show the frames and stuff like that, and it'll go from like, I think I can run that at like 70 to like 100, and it'll dip down to like 50 or something like that
Okay.
during the loading, and then it'll come in. I think it's because it's loading and caching a bunch of data for the
Okay.
fighters in the stage
Yeah, like we talked
that it
about
has a dip.
before.
Now I've run
Makes
Power
sense.
Rangers Battle for the Grid. I think I ran KI on this thing a little bit.
Cool.
Both of those ran really well. I want to install DNF Duel. I think I installed King of Fighters and I did some training mode on it, and that seemed to run real smooth. I didn't get any frame drops.
Cool.
Now I'm picky with fighters. I don't like playing them in handheld mode. I want an arcade stick. I don't like them in handheld mode. I don't like the way the buttons are laid out. Some of them would work okay, but I still find the D-pad frustrating for those. Not that I'm great on an arcade stick. I still suck. Let's be fair. It's just a comfort level thing, right? So for me, I haven't really dipped into that. That is one of the reasons I bought it, was to load a lot of my Steam fighting games up that I don't have on a console, so I can take it to a friend's house, hook it up through like a docking station, plug in a couple of controllers to it, and off we go. We can play those for the evening. That's one of the reasons I bought it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I was excited about for it coming out because of what you literally just said. It's literally having a portable PC that you can literally dock and take with you. So if I'm gonna go to a friend's house and grab a stick or two and then go, we go get stupid, we can be able to do that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that has me excited about the Steam Deck.
And I have plugged my arcade stick into it with that little. I have like a cheapo Belkin pass-through device with like a USB.
Oh, USB to USB-C?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's real basic, and there's an HDMI on it. But I pass-through I trust. I didn't want anything that was going to try to push power back into it, especially since I just spent a bunch of money on it, and that
Right.
device costs like $16 from Amazon. So, but there are a couple docks made by Anchor that I've heard really good things about, and I kind of trust that company. They aren't they sponsored by Nintendo Switch for a couple of their devices or something? Can anybody chime in on that maybe?
Oh, like
they-
Anchor charging packs
Yes,
and like
yes.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they make a dock that is really good that actually lets you get power to it, because that's why we can't get like 1440 and 1080 and 4K is because there's not really power being pushed to the device, so it can only do so much. That port's only going to do so much if it's not getting power.
Right.
So that's where the restriction comes in. I do support for TV and stuff, and people will plug too many devices into their Macs through Thunderbolt, and then like they daisy chain stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you got too much stuff plugged in. You got like 3 monitors and a hard drive all plugged through the same port. That's not going to work. And you can think of it the same way. Like you need, it's like a McFly in the McFly hoverboards don't work on water unless you have power. So it's the same idea. Like you
I
need
love
that
that.
power.
I love that scene. That's a
Yeah.
great scene.
See, now I picked up a Hiracool USB-C laptop docking station
Cool.
to be able to work with it, and that will technically supply some power to it, but I never plugged it into a USB-C into a power outlet to try to do that.
Yeah.
I used that because I wanted to configure emulation on it, so I wanted a keyboard and a mouse connected to it when I did that. And also, even though I have a USB-C to HDMI out that I use sometimes when I do retro streaming with it, I have connected it through this, and that works fine. Now, it's not going to get you a super high resolution because this is like an $80 docking station. And the only reason I even went that high end is because my wife has a work laptop that could use it, which she's currently using it for now, right?
Yeah.
So I knew I would get multiple uses out of it rather than just for this. So that's why I went as high end with that as I did, because I'm still waiting on Steam's version, which I'm hoping delivers on some of those outlandish promises that they told us on their paperwork that this thing would do. Right?
So here's the device I got. It's just this little thing that has an HDMI at the end. It's USB-C there, and then it has 2 USB ports so I can plug a mouse and a keyboard into it. And then
That's kind of what this is, but it has more ports.
Yeah, and this is to push power back into it, but I've never plugged anything into that. And then there's like micro and SD cards. And this works great. It was like $16 on Amazon. It's a Sabarent company. But I have a USB-C Jesus, I can't talk. I have a USB-C monitor that my work gave me that I have plugged into a MacBook Pro. That when I take that monitor, it's a 1440 60 hertz device. My Steamdeck instantly outputs to 1440 60 hertz because that monitor, it's a Samsung monitor, supplies power right back to my device. And I don't even have to change the setting. I can go right into any game setting and get that option available to me. I did make, and that's the video I was trying to show you. I've never plugged it into a 4K monitor and done it, but what I've done is this capture device I have, it's software based, so it thinks that it's 4K when I plug something into it, if I don't actually have a monitor that it's going to. So if I say, hey, there's a second monitor here, I can make that monitor be 4K, but it's only going to go to like my OBS. But it will output as 4K. I can go into the settings of the game, and it looks like it says 4K. Does it look like 4K? No, because my monitor's not even 4K.
Well,
See,
well,
see,
Endless,
I have
if you
a-
wanna-
I have a-
1440.
I have a
I just kind of
4K.
want to quickly.
Go ahead, Ray. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it's totally fine. Just to kind of like recenter it back on like so things that you're able to achieve with the device versus potentially putting it at risk. So a good thing that you just brought up, Dan, is the ability for you to output to 1440p. Are you potentially putting your hardware at risk? Are you overclocking it? And if so, for how long is like the safety window in order to do that until
I'd
you're
have no
actually
problem
putting your
doing
hardware
it.
at risk?
Yeah, that's a really high-end monitor that I'm using, so...
Oh, I know. No, I mean the Steam Deck.
console.
Like how
Yeah,
much-
no,
you're
but the-
overclocking it, right?
Well,
No.
no. When I'm plugging
okay.
that monitor into it, it's supplying power back, so it's allowing that upscale to happen beyond your standard like 720p that device does. But it's not necessarily overclocking like the CPU or the GPU or anything like that.
Yeah, I think we have to kind of define overclocking here. Overclocking would be that you went into the BIOS and you changed the specs of your hardware to basically do a higher performance than is within the safety margins of the recommended for the device as they were sent from the manufacturer. I don't think anybody on this, if anybody on this panel has done that, kudos to you. You're more ballsy than I am.
No.
I don't even do that on my desktop. I just don't
no.
like doing it.
No, I do it on my desktop, but
I'm always scared.
Yeah, no, I have-
Yeah, I was curious if like if that's what you were trying to achieve by.
well, no, I mean, I
by
could
getting
do
the
it and I could
1440.
figure it out, but like my video card is overclocked right now, and so is my CPU. Like but everybody hates my CPU. It's like 11th gen Intel, which was a stupid. It was the generation. I buy whatever's available in that generation. That's how I build computers. So,
Right.
but I have it overclocked to 5.2 on each core, which is insane.
That's
Like to have-
almost double the clock speed. So yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Like it's like, but again, I do stuff where I build workstations for people who are using video editing. You know, I support them, so I'm very familiar with how to like get the most out of the hardware. And like a lot of times, people will buy a machine and they'll shove the M2 drive into the top slot and not realize that shares the same bus as your video card. And as soon as you do that, you just cut your video card's like ability in half. And people don't realize that because manufacturers are like, "Oh, you can build a computer; it's super easy," but they don't. It's like the layman might not understand that things share the same buses. Like a lot of the USB ports on the front of your computer might be shared with like where your sound card's plugged in, but that's okay because your sound card only needs X amount of power versus your video card needing like 300 watts all the time.
Really quick, I wanted to share this link that Nick shared in the chats for what I believe this is what you're recommending for a USB hub if you're.
Well,
looking
that's
to
what I
connect it.
bought. Now, is that the best one on the market? I couldn't tell you.
That's fancy though.
I didn't buy a lot of them for comparisons. I bought this one because it had plenty of ports. It allowed me to plug in SD cards and other cards. It allowed me to plug in through Ethernet if I wanted to do that. And I can also supply power to the device by plugging in through USB-C and plugging that into the power.
Okay.
So it can technically do all that stuff. Now, have I done as much of that? No. Have I plugged in like an SD card and tried to use that? Yeah, but that's kind of a frustrating experience. Primarily
With
because between Windows and Linux, you almost have to format it for Windows, put your data on there, and then you can put it onto Linux, and Linux can read it. But if you try to format it for Linux and then try to get Windows to read it, you need a special program to read it, and it's a total pain in the butt. Don't do it. It's easier to go from Windows to Linux than it is Linux to Windows.
Okay.
That's all very, very true. Like,
And
that's another thing.
I
Your
work
average
in the
consumer
IT
isn't
field
gonna
too,
mess with
although
that
my
stuff, yeah.
specialty is more on cable equipment and administering like a lot of Linux, going in and doing troubleshooting on Linux servers when certain feeds and stuff like that are down.
Cool.
It's not full-on Linux administration or anything like that. I wouldn't claim to be that ever.
No,
because there's a lot to that.
There
right?
is a lot to that. I don't know any of that stuff either. So,
But I am familiar enough with Linux that I was able to navigate around this, go into command line, do a bunch of stuff with that, and figure a bunch of this out with a little bit of trial and error, and I would say not a little more than a little bit of frustration. But then I wanted it to run some emulation on it, and it's been both better and, well, we'll get to that. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're totally fine. I wanted to get into some of the, I guess, like, I don't know what to call it, like maybe aesthetic features or maybe like superfluous features that maybe add on to the price of the device without actually adding on to the value for even like the starter consumer or even like the high-end consumer. One of them that I noticed people called out was the touchscreen. I wanted to get, Ken, your thoughts. Like, okay, do you feel like the touchscreen is worth the value or is it unnecessary?
So far, it has worked amazing. I don't know for you guys, but for me, it's working great. And every time I touch it and do some command or something, it does it. So
but do you feel like it's necessary? Like, do you feel like you would have bought it regardless?
Yeah, I will about it regardless. No matter what, I will about it. I like the touchscreen, so it's more easy to pick game or whatever I want to do in the fly. Rather than
I'm gonna disagree here a little bit. It's nice, it's there. I find myself not using it.
Oh, really? I find
the D-pad and the Steam button navigates everything so quickly.
That's right.
That I don't need it, and I have my controllers laid out differently than yours because you're used to having the D-pad in a different location.
Yeah.
Most of my controllers have the D-pad predominantly on the top. I use a lot of third-party controllers.
Wow.
Even a PlayStation controller has the D-pad predominantly on the top. So using the device for me is fine with the D-pad location because it's what I'm used to. It's not what you're used to.
Yeah.
So I can rapidly move through things with the D-pad and use it like any D-pad I've ever used on any console ever.
Because normally I go to Steam like the Steam button and go like this really fast to get the games or whatever. So that's what I'm saying. For me, it's a win-win for me because this is good. I like to do this. I don't know. It has worked.
If I know the name of the game I'm finding, I might click the touchpad. I might click the search feature on the touchpad real quick, and then use the D-pad to key in the first couple of letters to find the game, and then enter.
Okay.
I don't think the anti-glare thing's worth it to answer that.
There you
I
go.
don't think you need
Features
to buy that version.
That don't really
I
add
didn't get the
value.
anti-glare, but that seemed like not worth. Well, in my mind, you weren't spending the extra money for the anti-glare. You were spending it for the more drive space. The anti-glare was a nicety.
Yeah.
So I didn't really think like it. They added it just to add it. I didn't think it added or detracted from the price. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, because people have said, my other friend, Mike the Game Killer, he's at Southern Fried Gaming right now, and he's like, do you feel stupid because, like, you could have just bought a screen protector that did that? And I was like, not really, but the more I think about it, I'm like, well, now I do, damn it. But no, I mean, you also get this, like,
you paid for
case
the
with this colored thing on it.
Dude, I
and
literally ordered that version for the
you
new
get this, like,
and the case.
It looks a little different.
Well, the case comes with all of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
but
just a
really?
Steam
Yeah, the case comes
fanboy,
with
and I
every
was
model.
like,
The only
The
thing
ca-
you get is
the
more
case.
drive space and the anti-glare.
Yeah.
My 256 one has a case too.
yeah, no, but I get mine's color. It's white and
you
blue.
don't care.
I
You
know.
don't
I'm trying to
care.
make fun of it. I'm trying to make fun of it because it's not.
Initially, when they announced it, it was just like, oh,
This
well,
isn't worth about $100 more. Come on.
look.
You're like, I'll go get a marker, Dan, and just color mine in.
You can tell that
Get a sticker or something and put it on there.
No, and so I agree. Like, but I bought the most expensive one just because I was like, oh, I love you, Steam. Like, I bought the very first Steam VR
Oh
headset.
God, I wasn't that big.
I
on it.
have.
Honestly, when I first
Oh no, and
saw
I know
it,
you weren't, but I was
you
just
have
letting
an owl
everybody
controller.
else
You
know.
actually,
the owl
you,
Yeah, I have one of the controllers. I have two of these actually.
you predicted the segue topic as far as like, do y'all feel like this is another like Steam failure as far as like them trying to enter the hardware
No.
field?
No.
Ken, what are your thoughts on that? Why is this
No.
different?
It is not the same as the controller of the Steam box. It was called, right? It was the Steam box or the Steam.
Steambox is
Steam
still
Link.
technically around, and that does basically the same thing this does.
Yeah, but it's just a handheld. It's just like you can play all your games. Like I own 600 games and I don't have time for them basically. So now I have time because I've been playing in my Steam Deck like a lot lately. So this is my excuse. I can play my games, so it's worth it, and it's not gonna be because when a lot of hardcore gamers bought it, a lot of them, rather than the Steam box. I remember when the Steam box came out, barely people bought that, and it's still around. It's true, but barely people. Because why am I gonna buy a Steam box when I can create my own computer and do the same thing that I want to? You know what I'm saying? Now,
Convenience.
yeah,
That's
the
why.
convenient. Now this is convenient, so why not have this and go on the go gaming? Yes, once again, the battery sucks. It's always going to be a thing with me. The battery sucks, but I can take it wherever I want, plug it wherever I want, and play Steam games. I can play fucking Elden Ring in my handheld. I can play Elden Ring in my handheld. That's crazy for me. Like, that is crazy to say. And just in case, yes, I tested it on high setting. Yes, it runs smooth. I tested it on the max. I put it in the max in the settings, and it runs super fucking smooth. And I was surprised about it. Sorry
Really
for
quick,
that.
I wanted to highlight Devilia's comment. Wow, MikeofallTrades, how many games do you have, and are those arcades? Slight segue in the topic, but yeah.
Oh, I was literally typing the answer to that, but I stopped counting games. You know what I mean? Like Retro said, like he's got like 600 games on Steam, and I'm like, then I looked over to my PS5, and I'm like, yeah, I got about like 1,200 PS4 games. And
Right.
like I just stopped counting because it's just one of
That's
the things
funny.
where Steam has this issue too, or if you go to CD keys, or GOG, whatever. Right? It's just like if you see a good deal on the game, it's like
He's right,
one day you're gonna get around to playing it. Like, bro, like even now, I have never played Shinobi Striker, right? But I see it all the time on Steam. Oh, it's $4.99 right now, and I'm like, no, it's $5. I might get bored one day and might want to dabble, So, and I think that's one of the things with any platform, whether it be an Epic Games Store or Steam, whatever. It's just like a deal's a deal, and you just feel like if you miss out on it, you don't get it, and then somebody brings it like, hey, Mode, have you played this? And I'm like, God, it was right there on sale. So I stopped counting games. Legitimately, like that's a Bonacera build back there in the Street Fighter 2. I got crap about it. I had to put out a short about this Friday, like Endless 2, because I got so many messages. Dude, you sold your KI. Bro, what'd you do to that thing? You just did a review on that machine. And I'm like, no, I put a PC in it. Like, it's there, bro. It's just, there's too many games. I just stopped counting at a point in time. Like,
Well, and before we go back to the main topic, to kind of build on like you buying so many games on Steam and stuff. I've only got like 179 on Steam right now, but the FOMO is real on Steam on pretty much a weekly basis, because they'll do like a midweek, sometimes an end of week or weekend madness sale, and that's on top of like the Steam sale during summer and stuff. So you'll see things marked down like 60, 70%. Like I'll see a game that was running at 60 for like $12.99. I picked up Witcher and all its content for like $15 when it was running for like 60 retail. I'm like, sold. I've played maybe an hour of it, but sold.
Right.
And that's how Steam works.
Humble Bundle subscription. The Humble Bundle subscription. Do you
That
remember
too.
that?
Oh, man.
I used to have that for 2 years.
Speaking.
And how many games they gave me, it was ridiculous at that point. It was so ridiculous.
Here's some free game for my content creator friends. Daredrop.com. Literally. They literally just gave a Humble Bundle where they'll pay you to like do stuff, and you'll get a bunch of games for keeps. So
Look at that.
Daredrop.com. You're welcome.
Humble
Oh,
bundle
and
coming
Keymailer
in clutch.
and terminals.io. Anyway, continue.
Oh yeah, definitely. I just wanted to that was actually the next topic as well. Like, is this realistically going to compel y'all to play that backlog of games that continues to grow? And it sounds like for a lot of us, that is going to be the value proposition for this device as well.
At
Like,
least
you don't
an
have to
hour
sit
of
at your
each one of them.
you don't
Right,
have to
yeah.
sit at your PC to boot up your Steam library anymore. Oh,
I
go
had
ahead.
this game for almost 3 years or more. I got this game when it came out. The company gave me this game, Moonlighters.
Okay.
The company gave me this game for almost like 3 years or more, and I finally got able to play it. Why? Steam Deck. That's the only reason I'm playing it.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm not gonna have time to play on my computer.
It's like that. It's just like, you get so many games you have to do so much content for. I think I'm in that position right now with Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like I'm supposed to be streaming that, and I'm just kind of like, oh no, play Persona. Oh no, play this. I'll play that. And I'm just kind of like, one of these days I'm gonna get to play whatever the hell I want to. And even when I'm on my laptop, it's like, okay, I'm working on websites or whatever else, right? So it's just like I'm not playing, I'm working. So it's just kind of like, well, where the hell is the mic time? So I think, I think like a separate PC, whatever else. It's just kind of like, You hold, you do what you want to do, and then
Just kind of like
escape.
to add on to that too, I do find myself, the more I'm like taking my content creation a little bit more seriously, the more I'm compelled to like make everything I do into content.
Right.
Just to like kill two birds with one stone. Like,
Exactly.
oh, I'm playing Xenoblade. I can't wait to make content from it. And I'm like, wait, I'm supposed to be enjoying playing this.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about
Exactly.
sharing it with everyone just for like the sake of sharing it with someone. So.
Well, that's
yeah.
kind of why I'll play games that I won't ever consider streaming. Like right now, I've been digging into Monster Hunter Rise. Well, I tried streaming World one time, and that was like the worst stream I ever did. It was terrible. Everybody was confused. Nobody knew what was going on. The monster just kept running away, and I'm chasing it and beating on it, which is normal for Monster Hunter if you understand Monster Hunter.
Oh,
but
yes.
nobody knows what the hell's going on, and I ended up with like one person watching the stream by the end of it, and I'm like, I will never stream this series again.
Oh,
Like,
which Monster Hunter are we talking about? We talking about World?
I
or we
was
talking
streaming
about
Rise?
World. I was streaming World at the time. Now I'm playing Rise.
World was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I know, right?
World
Oh
is a
my
great
God,
Yeah,
game.
World is
Ken was
amazing.
playing
I
Like,
it.
enjoyed
Rise-
World.
Rise is World knockoff. It wants to be.
Let me put it this way: it has nothing to do with the game, and entirely to do with the audience that was coming to my channel.
Yeah.
I don't want to stream that game because I don't want to explain the 80 million things you have to do to play the game.
Yeah.
It's
no,
too
that's fair.
confusing for
I
people
had to
coming
stop,
in who aren't
yeah.
Monster Hunter fans.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's just they messed up with Rise, literally, and especially since they ported the Switch version over and four-player lobbies and stuff. It messes up the game like so bad. It kind of splintered the community. But,
I really
yeah,
like
yeah, I
Rise on
wasn't
PC.
saying Rise.
yeah, you can tell. You can
Sunbreak,
tell.
though.
I've never streamed Monster Hunter before.
I really like Rise on PC. I do not like it on my Switch.
Yeah, thank you. Right?
Yeah, no.
It's
Rise
so
on PC
floppy.
Rise on PC is amazing. Like literally,
Yeah,
once
it's amazing.
once I downloaded the initial Rise demo after running through the Switch version, and you know what I mean, fighting Kushala and Rajang, whatever, and you see frames, and you're just kind of like,
oh my god,
this is what I've been missing.
I cannot
And then-
go back.
right, and you're just kind of like, and War's in the chat. I saw War, and I'm like, yeah, dude, I'll never play Rise on Switch again. Ever.
Really quick, I wanted to get to Fighters Evolution's question, asking some really high-end titles and how they perform on Steamdeck, which is totally fair,
I have not tried to load Street Fighter V on there. Is anybody else?
or something comparable to it. No.
I mean,
I
I
imagine it runs
loaded
KI.
King of Fighters, the new one on that, and ran fine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Street Fighter V is going to have a problem. Unless Capcom just did something dumb, which is kind of unlike Capcom. Usually their stuff's pretty solid.
I have played Rise on the Steam Deck. If you're talking about a game that's a little bit demanding, and it works amazing to me. The only problem that I have with Rise is at the beginning of when the intro is starting, it has like this little lag all of a sudden that you can hear it, and then it will play the game like normal.
That might be like what Nick was saying. We're just trying to load all that.
That honestly happened the first time I loaded it on my PC. When I loaded my PC, it hung for like ever. When I first saw it, I'm like, what the hell's going on?
So that
It's like
happened to
building
me
the
in
whole
in
world
thing.
or something.
Yeah.
dumping it
Yeah,
all
and
into
after
your
that,
RAM.
I think it just initially needed to set some stuff on my computer because that's the longest it's ever taken to load in like that. And I mean, it took like 4 or 5 minutes, and I'm not used to that. I've got like a 2 terabyte Samsung 960 NV SSD in there. This thing's like crazy fast. It's just slightly slower than the PS5. So things, when I transfer, it's just like load.
Yeah.
Load on this. I sat there and I went, oh my god, did the game break? Like, do I need to return this? What's going on?
That's pretty cool.
So many
And,
intros.
you
Oh,
guys-
the more GPU usage perhaps. Oh, go ahead, Ken.
You guys never had this issue with when closing a game it doesn't close?
I haven't run into that so much yet. No.
I have it happen to me like 5 or 6 times already.
Yeah,
What
I've had
wrong
all kinds of weird stuff. I've actually had it, so I had to hard reset it kind of thing, like hold down the power button and shut it down. I've had it sometimes where if it doesn't look like anything's happening, what I do is either hit the Steam button or the dots, and if those menus pop up, that's a good sign. That means you can at least still close it.
Okay.
I haven't had to like do any weird hold these 3 buttons down to force shut it down, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I haven't had to do
I've
that
always
at
been
all.
able to hit shut down or restart from the menu after holding it down for a few seconds. But it has like froze. And some like one, like to Nick's point, one time a game was taking super long, and I think I just needed to wait like another 30 seconds because the second time I did it, I waited a little longer and it finally did come up.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, but I was like, minutes have gone by, like, and it's still a black screen, but I could hit the Steam button and that would pop up. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna let it go for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
have
guess
a
like.
question.
Oh yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I'm sorry. No, I had a question and nobody even touched on it yet. So I'm wondering, has anybody done the typical PC thing when they get done with like building something? And has anybody tried to run Crisis 1 on their Steam Deck?
I did run Doom Eternal.
And it runs pretty good.
Doom Eternal runs good. I hate the controls on it, but then you generally have to take my mouse and keyboard out of my cold dead hands. I even play Rise with mouse and keyboard.
What?
I love Rise with a mouse and keyboard. I hate it with a controller. Hate it with a controller.
Are you sure? Are you
Entirely.
like macroing and like shortcutting a lot of stuff?
No, I don't even need them. It's
What?
Damn.
The only thing that's weird is the social options. Like when you're doing that stuff, you have to arrow up and down on like the arrow keys for some stupid reason, and I need to remap that because it's just dumb. It's very dumb.
Oh, we have to
That
do
needs
that
to be on the mouse. That needs to be on the mouse wheel. Is where that needs to be. I don't know. Actually, it might be, and I just haven't been paying attention to it. But like Eternal, when I was running it, it felt so. And this isn't on the device itself. This is me trying to use a analog stick to do what I do with a mouse and keyboard, right? So I'm sitting there trying to move around on Eternal, and it just feels bad, right? Like I could play it, everything runs good, the frame rate's good, the graphics look fine. It just feels slow to turn and move and do things because I'm so used to just moving my wrist just slightly, and the guy goes, "Whee!" I can go right back to what I'm doing. So I don't know.
I like your wee.
Really quick.
Yeah, I know,
I
right?
wanted to,
That made me laugh.
I know Fighters, you joined us a little later after we covered the battery life. That was like a huge part of the beginning, but just to kind of give a quick recap, battery life. It seems like we covered some of the gambit of, this game will last this many hours and this game will last this many hours. But if you had to give a high level overview, like you would expect on average 4 hours, right?
If you're playing like Turtles, the Shredder's Revenge, I think you could get 4 hours from it. If you're playing Elden Ring, you're gonna get an hour from it.
30 minutes. 30 minutes max. Believe me.
I turned my settings down though, but yes, I believe you that it's probably only 30 minutes.
Yeah, I don't
on
jack
max.
all the settings up on the Steam Deck.
I try to turn them down. Yeah. Like
because I'm not going to have it at like ultra high resolution, all shadow distance, 3 miles, all that other ridiculousness. I'll do that on my PC, right? Just to see if I can break it, because that's what I do. I go till I think the game's going to like fall over, or my PC is just like something smells like electrical smoke.
Oh no!
Let's dial it back.
But you know the funny part? Somebody actually told me, this was one of the many people who were fighting at me in my comment section in my video. Somebody actually told me, no, the Steam Deck lasts me 9 hours. I'm like,
BS.
Dreams, right?
What
You turn the screen brightness the whole ways down and you just set it there.
Well, no, I mean, what are they playing? Like,
Don't
are they
touch
emulating like RetroArch through Steam and playing like Mario Brothers 3 or something?
Even doing that, it won't last that long because I do
I know.
RetroArch and emulation all the
9
time.
hours.
But you got to be turning down the brightness to where you can like barely see the screen in order to get that kind of battery life.
Let me look over the comments because it was funny because he even mentioned Monster Hunter. And he was like, Monster Hunter lasts me 6 hours. I'm like, that's so possible.
I'm sorry. No, not at all. Not at all. Not even on a high-end freaking laptop. No, not 6 hours. Not at all.
I mean, can you adjust the frame rate and like
Yes,
other
you
things
can,
like
but
that?
even if you turn it down to like 30, which you might as well play console at that point. But even if you do that, you're not getting 6 hours. Like that's somebody talking out of their arse. Like,
I mean, there's some performance tweaking and stuff you can do by hitting the button that has like the 3 dots on it, and you can do some like dynamic frame rate adjustments on it. You can turn down the screen brightness, and you can do all these things that are trying to meant to help with the battery life. But and on some things that might push you closer to 5 or 6 hours if it's really light workload. But if you're trying to play something like Elden Ring or Monster Hunter Rise, or you're doing a mix of games, you're not going to get that kind of performance out of it. It's just not. It's too small of a device to have a big enough battery to be able to do that. Okay, It just can't do that.
Another question I had. So, like, y'all are saying like, yeah, this is basically a PC, but I'm assuming, does that mean it has like background apps that you can turn off to kind of help optimize the battery life a little bit more, or does it not have that problem as much for like background apps running that you can like toggle
well,
on
you
and off?
don't necessarily have background apps running. When you go into game mode, you're in game mode and you're running Steam in game mode. It tweaks everything to perform for games, and that's how generally you're running most things. Even when I've got I got everything imported to be able to do emulation on it, it's just running whatever it's running at that time, right? I'm not going to download something like Premiere or Photoshop and all that and have that running on this thing. That it doesn't make any sense to use this device for that. That's why I have a PC. And I'll have that stuff running while I'm running Rise, and it'll stay up fine. I often will leave up Premiere Pro, Photoshop, and OBS, and then I'll be playing Monster Hunter Rise, and it runs at a full clip just fine. I don't care. I've got enough RAM for that I just don't care.
Yeah, so you can launch 2 games at once on a Steam Deck. Would you want to?
Yes, dear.
No.
Sorry, my wife said, "Are you flexing your computer again?"
You should.
Herb Wars asked a question, so I'm being told I need a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse for this. Is that true?
Well,
no.
Yeah, if you want to like have it wirelessly, but otherwise you can just buy like this little thing and plug a USB mouse and keyboard.
Or the
into
one
it,
that I
like
showed you. You plug it in through USB-C and then you plug them in.
Nix
You're
is
good.
like the transformer of docks. And
I love Transformers. I like you now.
Well, I saw your sound wave behind you there, your nice statue. But so right on.
But yeah, fighters. One of the reasons I'm really interested in this, I was talking with Nick about it. I can only emulate so much on my modded Switch until I have to install Linux on it. And since this is, from what I'm hearing, the Steam Deck is Linux based, it can actually run like Wii, GameCube. I think through the Dolphin emulator, which I'm really fascinated with. And having those games available to play handheld is a big selling point for me personally. So
I mean, you could just launch RetroArch and run Dolphin through there now as well. So I mean, you can do
on
all
my
that.
PC I can do that. It's just that the handheld is just my speed, I guess. So
you may not be able to see this very well. I forget what the application's called, but you can load an application that will basically start to load and link all this stuff into Steam. Now these are all external applications. Let me get back out of that because I was on the wrong side.
Pretty cool.
And it will put them in groups or collections, right? So you can scroll down and it will show you your various different collections. And when you go into there, it'll show your different games in those collections, right? So I've run up to PS2 on this.
nice.
And the only thing I loaded in it was like Metal Slug Anniversary, just because I wanted a game to load up in it, just to see if it worked, right? Now I haven't tried like Metal Gear or any Metal Gear Solid or any of those. I may do that at a later date, but those take a long time to download. They take a long time to transfer, and it's just annoying, right? So my wheelhouse in this is like Dreamcast and below as far as what I like to run on, right? And it runs all that great. If anything, it runs some things better than, say, this, which is a Pi 4 that I have in a Game Boy case.
I remember
right?
that case.
And it's a dope little case, comes with its nice little LCD screen, stuff like that. But I find I lean more towards this for gameplay, in part because the screen is a little bigger. It's a little wider, and there's no getting around it. I'm 45. I'm getting old. I can't look at a damn Game Boy screen anymore. It's too damn tiny. I need something that's going to give me a little bit more time to be able to do it. The only thing that I don't like on this is there's save states. You can kind of do like one save state right now. I can't figure out how to do multiple save states in it to move to different save states.
Same with RetroArch. That's my issue with it too.
Oh, you know,
like one save state per game, basically.
Oh, no,
really?
you can do multiple save states in
multiple,
RetroArch
yeah.
easy. It's doing it on the Steam Deck and finding that feature there from the way that they built it into the Steam Deck. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I'm just not sure how to manipulate it, and I haven't spent the time to do it because I picked it up and I streamed it a couple times, or I'll just pick up something like, say, Mike Tyson's Punch Out that has easy to key in codes, or I can just continue and I can play. You know what I mean? To where I'm not practicing hardcore on it on a game where I need multiple save states to try to figure out why this one area this guy keeps killing me on this jump to the point where, you know, I'm about to break 9 controllers, you know? You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we're just about to wrap up, but one last topic I did want to bring up, and if anyone else has any other closing statements as well, we'll get to those right after this. So, I guess like marketplace choicing. So I know some people like to compare like X hardware to like Y hardware for whatever reason, and I'm not personally someone who does that, but I know this is a conversation that happens. If this is a hardware that you're trying to sell to someone who is choosing to either buy like a Switch or some other like some sort of comparable hardware, even just like a straight up gaming PC, what would you tell them, Ken? And I'll go around and ask everyone as well.
What would tell them? Just stay with the Switch if you want battery power. I'm sorry. Like, the Switch is so convenient in that way. Like, once again, and this is my closing thought. This is not for a normal consumer. This is for like geeks like us, like hardcore gamers who really want to do a bunch of stuff with a console. Well, if you're trying to buy this just because you heard somebody telling you, I'm gonna keep you in mind. The battery sucks. Switch lasts longer. Switch has a big library, and many other games that you're gonna find in Steam, you're gonna find them in there too in Switch. So save your buck if you're not a hardcore gamer. That's all I have to say about that.
Nick, how about you? What are you going to tell someone who asks your opinion on what they should buy?
Mine's kind of long-winded because it depends on what you want out of the device. And I've said this from the beginning, and I got a bunch of crap on my channel for this one, because this device made no sense when I first saw it. And the reason it didn't make any sense is because it doesn't necessarily and fully appeal to either the PC or the console market. And the reason it doesn't is because it's not got enough power for a PC and enough conveniences for a PC, but it's also too complicated for a console user. Now, if somebody were looking at this compared to, say, a Switch, which is the only other thing I would compare it to, I would ask them straight up, what do you want to play? Because if you want to run Doom Eternal and you want to run Doom Eternal on handheld mode, you're better off doing it on this than you are doing it on, say, the Switch, because you're going to get better performance out of it, and you're going to get better things out of that. Is this a Switch killer? No. But the reason it's not a Switch killer for me is because I played the Switch for Nintendo games and for their store and for their convenience, right? This also doesn't have any voice chat. Like, there's no voice chat features on this thing. Like, I'd have to load Discord and then try to find some way to keep Discord running to be able to do that. I can't do that on here. There's like a headphone jack on here that I can put speakers on and stuff like that. But I'm not voice chatting with most people over this thing. It's not built for that. The Switch isn't either technically, but it has an application for that you put on your phone, which is also a stupid solution. But that's a topic for another day. But if you want Nintendo games and stuff like that, you need to pick up the Switch. If you want something that's got better battery life and is going to be a little bit easier to navigate, you need to pick up the Switch. If you're more of a PC gamer that wants to take this thing kind of on the go and have part of your library to share with your friends on stuff that may not necessarily show up on there, or you don't want to double dip and you still want to experience those games with those friends, then this is a good option for you. It is a PC companion piece for people who want more flexibility with their computer than just their computer.
Awesome. And Moat, how about you? What is your ETA for your unit to arrive, by the way?
As soon as they send me an email.
Oh, okay.
But like Nick was just saying, like, mine is pretty much gonna be a PC companion thing, where it's just like I get to do the stuff that I want to do that I can't do off stream. I can have separate files for X, Y, Z, whatever else, right? And do my own testing. You know, if I want to tinker with it and open it up, you know, whatever else, that's what I'm gonna do with it. I guess for the normal person, if you're okay with buying those one-sit games on the Switch and just playing like Mario titles, and yeah, get a Switch, you know. But this isn't something that's designed to be your main PC, you know. And a lot of people go into that maybe thinking that could be a case, and it's not. You know, it's meant to be an option to go on the go. If you just want something that has gaming on it, you're going to go buy an IS Neo or something like that. You know what I mean? Like ETA Prime or whoever has like plenty of reviews on other mobile PC handhelds, because this isn't the first one. It's not going to be the last one. Hell, next year Steam might announce a new version of this that's got more power, et cetera, right? But pretty much it's for those of us who enjoy Steam and have copious amounts of disposable income. You know what I mean? So if it's something you want to use, you have a big enough Steam library, and it's beneficial to you, then yeah, pick it up. If not, yeah, man, I guess play on your phone.
To build on his a little bit, there's been like 6 other people that jumped into this market as soon as this thing launched.
Yeah.
With better specs.
That's
But
what
I'll be honest, some of them get around like almost close to $2,000. And if you pay $2,000 for something like this, I'm going to point and laugh at you.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, dude, if it's something you're gonna coincide with your PC with, then yeah, pick it up. If you're thinking this is gonna be a PC replacement, absolutely not. You know. And if you're gonna spend $2,000 on that, listen, build a PC at that point in time. You know, build like a mini form factor PC or something like that, or talk to somebody, let them build you one. Because $2,000 for that, dude. I have a pool of water that I own on a little spot of ground that I'd like to sell you for $2,000.
But yeah, last but not least, Endless. Yeah, your thoughts on.
I mean,
folks,
everybody
give
made a
your
lot of
opinion.
great points that I totally agree with. Like, I think you'd probably steer towards a Nintendo if you wanted it to be more family friendly. If you want more Nintendo-based games and stuff like Zelda, Mario, yeah, you can emulate all that stuff and you can dump ROMs. That's a big hassle, and you have to have an old Switch to do that. Not everybody has one of those, so I think that you can't even use that as a scenario. But overall, you know, I use it as a companion. Like I said, it's like, oh, I'm going to go use the bathroom. or I'm going to go out while my, kid's playing her game. Look at him holding his... Hey, man, it's life. It is what it is. This is my personal handheld. I don't pass it around.
Never
This
change,
isn't a
Never
doobie.
change, bro.
So,
Oh yeah, Herb War is getting your Steam Deck on Wednesday. That is major hype news
nice.
right
That
there.
was awesome.
And yeah, this has been an awesome conversation, y'all. Like getting like a full 80 minutes or so of coverage on all things Steam Deck. Even folks like Mike, who's like still waiting for his Steam Deck to fulfill. Like you've still got a lot of stuff that you're gonna cover, I'm sure, once you get it in. So I'm really happy to look forward to looking towards that content, and then additional content from everyone else, like games that they're playing and other hardware mods and stuff like that are coming out for it. I'm really looking forward to, for me personally, following the community's own little homebrew situation happening with it and the mod scene there. I'm really a big fan of that stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone again for taking the time to come and hang out on this lovely Sunday afternoon. And Ken, Retro Complex, where can we find you at, and what are you going to be working on?
Well, you can always find me on Retro Complex on YouTube. I'm not barely in Twitter just in case, but I'm always posting on YouTube. Right now, I'm working on a new review about Demi-Kiss. It's a game from Atlas. It's like a Shin Megami Tensei mixed with Pokemon type of stuff. Really weird, really dope game. So you can go and subscribe over there if you want to check that out.
Awesome. And Nick, thank you so much for joining us. First time on the channel. Where can we find you at, and what are you going to be working on?
I'm everywhere except for on my channel lately. I literally have 2 channels right now. My main channel is primarily going more streaming. I might start doing some Evercade stuff and things like that on it. I haven't really done much outside of streaming with that one because I've been working on a new channel that I call the Geekstorian. That's been more focused on video game history, gaming peripherals, particular moments in gaming history. My game mechanics series, which I know Retro Complex is a fan of, is moving over to there. So that's where a lot of that content has pretty much been moving, and that's been a lot of my focus because I can do a lot of those uploads, get that kind of stacked out, and then I can do streams and kind of relax on the other while that kind of percolates and does its thing, and it gives that content a better platform. And it's the kind of content I like making the most on YouTube as a whole. And I feel like it gives it a better voice than being mixed in with, hey, I'm doing Evercade today, or hey, I'm going to talk about the Steam today, or hey, I'm going to stream 2 or 3 times this week, and now you can't find anything on my channel. Yay! No, so that's kind of why I built it. If anybody wants it, I can get them a link. If not, you guys will kind of run around for it and find it eventually. I'm sure maybe one day YouTube will be like, hey, maybe somebody will like this channel. So,
I did link
YouTube.
both of your channels in the description as well, Geeks with Cash as well as Geekstorian. So please check
I
out
appreciate it.
Definitely.
I'm always glad when somebody pours out both my channels.
Absolutely.
Well, I just went and subbed to the one. I didn't know the other one. I'll check that one out too.
And MikeofallTrades, thank you so much. I know you're someone who also has 2 channels as well, which I linked in the description. But what are you going to be working on, and where can we find you at?
So, indubitably. So, YouTube doesn't like gaming stuff mixed with the home arcade stuff, right? The algorithm was like, yo, F this. So, my main channel, MikeofallTrades, we talk a lot of home arcade. We do some tech stuff. I should get my Oculus review out this week, along with some other stuff. Chill and Chill podcast. Tuesday night, we just sit and talk crap and, just talk about random stuff. It's a vibe. And then the Mo Plays channels where you find all the gaming stuff. If you want to see your gaming live streams or the occasional opinion on something like that, like Mo Plays. That's what I'm accidentally logged in on here, right? As far as that, you guys can find me anywhere on social media as MikeofallTrades or my website, MikeofallTrades.live. Yes, I have one of those because I'm a nerd, I guess, or whatever else. And then everything's there, dude, and you guys can all check stuff there. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And if you came in late and you're watching this at the end of the stream, make sure you go back and watch the replay because there's some great dialogue that you might have to get caught up on. And smash the like button because it's free and it helps Ray's channel grow.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. And Dan, LS1Up, thank you so much. Your first time on the channel as well. Where can we find you at? And what are you going to be working on?
Well, I do lots of Steamdeck stuff, and I do little shorts. I know some of my shorts are pretty basic, but I think it helps some of the average users that maybe like the Retro Complex, like he mentioned, a new consumer that's never done this. I think it might be helpful for them. So I'm doing a lot of shorts like that, and yeah, just find me at Endless1Up. And I have a link tree. If you want to follow me on Twitter and all that stuff, just go to linktree.com/endless1up and you'll find me. And look at this. Moat, I got Crisis. I just launched it. Crisis Remastered.
Nice.
I'll show you.
Wait, that's cheating. That's remastered. That's not the original.
Oh, well, it's better. It's better. I'm getting 110 frames per second during this cutscene. My middle finger's kind of toasty right now, though. Just a
little bit.
Oh, before we bail, I know a lot of people have talked about, and this was, maybe this just happened in my circle, but have any of you had anybody talk about hooking an external SD drive and then like Velcroing it to the back of the unit?
That is so.
Don't do that. Because it does exactly like what I thought it is. All the heat is right there in the middle of that unit. If you want to cause problems or block your vents potentially, go ahead. I don't recommend it.
Yeah. I mean, you could sit on it too. There might be a chicken that'll hatch out of it.
Yeah.
Well, look, just keep it ideal if you're in like, a Midwestern state or somewhere where there's getting a lot of snow, and keep it in mind for the winter. So when you take
there you go.
You know what I mean? Hand warmers. There you go.
Oh, this is awesome. I love this conversation, and especially for me that's more like on the casual side of gaming and just still like learning a whole bunch of stuff. I love that I've been able to get a lot of knowledge directly from folks who actually purchase the hardware and experience it and can give their firsthand takes on it. And thank you all for sharing your knowledge with my audience as well. I'm sure they really appreciate it too. I have a lot of like casual gamer folks as well who are interested in this stuff, but it's kind of intimidating, like when a lot of the technical stuff is kind of made obscure or a little less transparent from reviews. So thank you for taking the time to kind of break it down and give examples for like what to expect from different games as well. I'm sure that was really helpful for folks. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and play the outro, and thank you everyone again in the audience as well as on the panel for hanging out today, and we shall catch you next time for another episode of the Glimmercast. All right, take care, y'all. Bye.
Yeah.